Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another episode in, just pro tips or things that you should be aware of. Maybe you can teach some of your riding mates some of these things and or share this video, which of course is the best thing you can do for me is like, subscribe, and share my videos. Okay, so I've got the tire wrapped around me like this. You remember the old time photos of cyclists carrying their own tubular tire strapped around their body. So I thought that would catch your, your eye. So over the July 4th holiday, so July 4th was on a Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday, Jess and I were up in the Los Angeles area, and then Thursday we rode up on Glendora Mountain Road, Glendora Ridge Road to Baldy Village, and the roads were closed to vehicular traffic. So we try to make that pilgrimage as often as possible on those major holidays. And on that ride, when we got to Baldy Village, a gentleman came up to me. His name was Charlie, I found out later, and he had double flatted and he didn't have any tubes with him. So I thought, okay, when I get back to the shop and I have a few things, I will do a little bit of a show and tell. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you old timers have been around a long time and you know that you should be carrying, spare tubes, patches of some sort, either glue or glueless patches. You know that you should be carrying a boot, and some of you make comments or made comments on that video and talked about Tyveks and all kinds of other things. Those are all great when you plan ahead and have them with you, and or you have enough to pay it forward to a fellow rider. So that's really what this video is about, is what you do at home before you go out on a mountain road. 22 miles one way, so 44 round trip with no cars. So I mean, you can't get a ride because the roads are physically closed with gates. So you have to be prepared for these kinds of rides. And some of you, different parts of the country and the world, routinely ride in very remote areas, and it could be a long time before a motorist comes by, and then it has to be an appropriate vehicle. Like Charlie said, there was, someone had a pickup truck, but they were like really concerned about the vehicle getting scratched. So you can't always count on other people. You have to be self-reliant. So when you're at home, these are some of the things that you should procure before you head out. A patch kit, Rima, Park Tool, pick a brand, doesn't matter. As long as it's the glue, the wet glue, you have to keep an eye on that because it dries up. If you used it once, pretty much 6 months later or 3 months later, it's going to be dry. So there's that. If you run a tubeless tire and you want to do a tubeless repair, you may want to take that with you. I'm holding this because for a lot of my brevets and for a lot of longer events, 400K, 600K, 1200Ks, I still see people carrying a spare tire underneath their seat bag, right? So it's folded up and it velcroed or something underneath their seat pack. I think those days are gone, but why not? I mean, and especially if you're riding cross country or something, right? Bring tires with you, spare tire. Okay. Another thing you should probably try out is a glueless patch. And what I mean by try out is this is at home. Park Tool also makes a boot, and these have an adhesive backing, or you peel off the backing and it has an adhesive so you can put it on there. Now, some, if not most of us riders, we take along some type of fuel whether it be a gel packet or a chewable, any of these other things, that wrapper, two things. One, I've been telling you folks about the concept of keeping your receipts. In other words, whatever you consume, keep those wrappers when you get home, or even mid-ride. If you're like bonking, you're like, why am I feeling so bad? And you pull out your wrappers, and trust me, when you're not feeling well, your memory is not your friend. Sometimes it doesn't serve you well. As a matter of fact, was it Saturday? I went out for a ride. I thought I had consumed 3 Cliff Block sleeves, and I was a little, my performance was a little lackluster. And when I got to a water location to dunk my head because it was so freaking hot, I counted my wrappers. I only had 2, so I was off on my nutrition. But I say keep your wrappers so that when you're at home, you count them out, or mid-ride. But also because now you can use these to boot your tire. So these are things you can plan ahead. You've got the shipping envelopes that someone mentioned from UPS or FedEx or whoever. Although my local box doesn't have those in there anymore. Usually there was like a little drawer and you pull those out. They're not in there anymore. So I guess cost-cutting measures. So, but this is a Continental 5000 tire. Now, personally, I prefer a real tire boot. Let me explain why. As an endurance cyclist, and I remember one time in particular, I was doing a 400K, so 250 plus miles. And I cut my tire on like a 6-mile stretch of highway. So 10 or 11K of highway that we had to, because there's just no surface streets. So you get on the highway, Highway 8, if anyone knows the area. It's up by Alpine, and you get off on East Willows or something. I don't remember the exact mileage, but the point is, I cut my tire, and I was only about 20 miles into my event. So that's, I don't know, let's see, 25 is 40K. So about 35K into the day, and I still had 200 plus K to go. So I then, it was a 400K, yeah. So anyway, I still had over 200 miles to go. So the rider I was with had a tire boot. I put that in there, and of course the full 400K just about was done on a tire booted with a real tire. So I suggest you make a few of these. Now you need obviously a good pair of scissors or some other type of good shears, and Jess will know that, the shears. And the hardest part is just getting through the beads. So these are Kevlar beads, so they're not like a steel bead or whatever they put in those really low-end tires that have a wire bead. Okay, cut through it. There you go. Now this is one I've had for a while, and I've already cut a lot of segments off of this. But what I do is I cut it along the edge of the bead. And the reason I do this is because the bead of the tire should still be in good working order. And I want that bead to sit inside the hook of the rim. We're not going to talk about hookless rims here. So if I have 2 of these beads on top of each other, I don't like that. Plus it gives sometimes it gives a thump ride quality. So I just take the tire and then I just cut along the bead. So I'll do one. Sorry, I don't have a camera crew. So I'll just do one here. And I do about 3 to 4 inch segments. It just depends what mood I'm in, right? And then I will cut across Once again, I apologize, but you get the idea. So now, here's the tire bead, move that out of the way, then I cut across. Now, once again, you decide how big of a segment you want. I prefer a longer segment like this, that way if there's a cut on the actual tire, I've booted it in, say the cut's here, I've got about 2 inches on either side, right? So about 5 centimeters on either side of the cut sidewall, reinforced by a real tire. You can do whatever has worked for you, or whatever has been suggested to you by another experienced cyclist. This is what I strongly recommend. You do you. Make comments down below if you use a tire, or if you use the park tool, or if you use any other thing I've never heard of or it hasn't been spoken about here. I may not have heard of it, so that'd be interesting to learn something from you folks. And you know, many of you have tires like this laying around. And you can see how it's flat, so the crown is basically gone. So rather than throw this tire in the trash, make a bunch of these boots. You make 10, 15, 20 of them, whatever you want. On that tire repair at Baldy Village, I didn't have one of these boots. Of course, I had plenty of gel packets and stuff, but I didn't have any of these. And I realized I've been giving all of these out. Like, I looked at my spare, I'm out of these. So today I'm going to sit here and cut about 10 of these out, take some home, put some in the car, put some in my saddle pack. And I say the car because oftentimes I'm driving around and there's someone who's stranded, and I've aired up tires before. I used to keep a pump in my car. Need to start doing that again. But and of course, hand them a business card for my shop. But yes, I would like to hear from you folks what maybe off the wall things you've used before to boot up a tire and either get yourself home or someone else home. I actually used a condom wrapper once. I was up on, apparently it's an Inspiration Point, and there was a wrapper there. Used it, and it's on my Instagram. I'll put the link down below. It's, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.